Three people who will never die. Today we are going to look at the three people who will never die. And who are they? Mostly people always say before you die, before you go to heaven, you must die. I remember back at school, the junior high time, when I was in the junior high, one teacher came and asked who want to go to heaven, and we all raised our hands. And he asked again who want to die, and everybody was keeping quiet, no hand. The next question was, then why we don't want to die, and how do we want to, and how do we want to go to heaven? So looking at the statement, meaning uh, before you go to heaven, you must die. So that is what mostly people always conclude, or that is the perception of others, that before you go to heaven, you must die. The main reason for the death is not that you have to die before you go. The main reason for the death is when the body is weak, the body will go to rest because Christ hasn't come before the body became weak. So when the body became weak, when the last days comes, when Christ returns, that body will come back and then change. So the body, because the body is not, is a sinful body, that's why you cannot go there with this body. So when it become weak, it have to rest. But it's not a must that everybody have to die before you go to heaven. So we are going to look at some three groups of people who never die. They will never die. So to prove that what they are saying is not correct, that teaching is not good, it's not the right way. You can go to heaven without dying. So the first person we are going to look at is Enoch. Enoch, Genesis chapter number 5, verses 24. Enoch never experienced death. Genesis chapter number 5, verses 24. I read it. It says this way. Uh, Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, because God took him away. Genesis 5:24. And Enoch walked with God, and he was no more, for God took him away. God took him to where? Away. He was raptured. Enoch was raptured. Mostly, when you look at this man Enoch, and then that of Moses, mostly people always say, "Oh, Enoch didn't die." Elijah rather. Enoch didn't die. Elijah didn't die. So they will come back and die again. They will come back and die again. But it is not biblical. That is not where the Bible never says these two people, because they didn't die, they will come back and die again. There is no place that says that if you don't die and go to heaven, you come back and die again. Remember that before you go to heaven, this body cannot inherit corruption. If you read 1 Corinthians from chapter 15 verses 20 coming down, this body cannot inherit this corruptible body cannot inherit incorruptible things. This body is corruptible body, so you cannot inherit incorruptible things. So you cannot go to heaven with this. So before you even go to heaven, your body have to be transformed. So Elijah and that of this Enoch that we are talking about, they were raptured. Not that they went there with this mortal body. They didn't go there with mortal body, and there's no biblical base whereby whereby we say, okay, the Bible says here that they will come back and die. They will come back and die. So that because people believe that everybody must die before you go to heaven, that is why they always say Enoch must come back and die again. Enoch must come back and die. Enoch must come back and die. But it is not biblical. That it doesn't have biblical base, and you can go to heaven without dying. So Enoch was one. What did he say? What did the Bible say? He was with God. He walked with God and was not, so God took him. Let us read here and see more about Enoch. Hebrews 11:5. He says this way: by faith, Enoch was taken from this life, so that he did not experience death. He could not be found, because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. Have you seen? Simple. He did not experience death. Enoch, did he die? No. Well, where is he? He has gone to heaven. So you think he will come back from heaven and die again? You are not serious. If you are thinking that Enoch will come back from heaven and die again, then you are not serious. Enoch will not come back and die. So you think how many years now? Over thousands of years. So you think you can live with this body over thousands of years? And then Enoch is still there, and you're thinking that because he's living with this body, or you think in heaven there are sins there, this sinful body cannot go there. So you think that he has gone there with this sinful body. No, this corruptible body. You can't inherit that. You can't enter there. There is nothing in heaven that is sinful. So you can't send this body there. So before you get there, You have to be transformed. You have to be transformed. That's why people always say, I have vision, and I saw heaven open, I have vision. Why don't they go there with their bodies and they're having visions? Because this body cannot go there. Or someone will say, okay, I was taken to heaven and I saw this and I saw that and I saw that. The person's soul went there, but the body was on earth here. Why don't the person just go there with the body? Because the body is not transformed and the body is still is a corruptible one. So you can't go there with this body. So don't think that Enoch will come back again and die as you are be thinking, or what others are saying. So Enoch has gone. So Enoch is one. The second person is that we are going to look at is Elijah. Second Kings chapter number 2 verses 11 through 12. Second Kings chapter 2. Second Kings chapter number 2 verses 11. We are going to look at Elijah too. So the second person is also Elijah. Elijah didn't also die. Okay, chapter 2 verses 11 and 12. Second Kings. It says this way: as they were walking along and talking together, that's Elijah and Elisha. We know Elisha to be the servant of Elijah. So before he was taken, Elisha was following his master. Master, give me double portion of your spirit. Give me double portion of your spirit. Give me double portion. So they were talking together. So that's what it's not saying. So they were walking. Okay, let's see what happened. As they were walking along and talking together, suddenly chariots of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them. And Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha saw this and cried out, my father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel. Then Elisha saw him no more. Then he took hold of his own cloth and tore them apart. Okay, have you seen? So here is also telling us that as Elisha and his master Elijah was walking, what happened? Whirlwind, they just saw horses of fire and chariots of fire, and then they separated the two of them. And then whirlwind, he was taken up. Elijah was taken up by the whirlwind, whilst Elisha was just looking at him. Elisha was just watching till he went and disappeared in the sky, and then he began to cry, my father, the horseman of Israel, he has gone." So you see that this is another person. He didn't die. That's why at first I mentioned that some people say Enoch and Elijah must come, especially when the Bible says that Elijah and then another person must come. So people always conclude that because Enoch didn't die, so Elijah and Enoch they are the two people who are supposed to come and die, because everybody must die and go to heaven. If you have heard that teaching, it is a lie. It doesn't have basis. It doesn't have basis anywhere. Where you say, oh, you have to die before you go to heaven. No, it doesn't have basis, and there is no biblical proof to that teaching that you must die before you go. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. So what we are saying is that it is not biblical. It is not biblical that Enoch and then Elijah must come. So we know the two witnesses to be. One of them is the Elijah, and the other one we went through some what do you call it, some analogy and some things, and we realized that the second person is likely to be Moses. And we also went some through facts to prove that they are likely not to be the actual Moses and then the actual Elijah, but they will be end times believers who will carry their spirit, who will carry the spirit of Moses and carry the spirit of Elijah, just like John the Baptist came and then Elisha. You know, Elisha and then John the Baptist, they carried the spirit of Elijah. And even John the Baptist, Jesus called him Elijah. Why did Jesus call him Elijah? Because he carried the spirit of Elijah. So if somebody carried the spirit of Elijah and then you call him Elijah, you are not mistaken. So at that time, where you haven't listened to it, you can listen to it. So we went through some scriptures and we conclude that probably these two people, those who come at the end time, the two witnesses in Revelation 11, they are likely to be end time believers, but they will carry the spirit of Elijah and then the spirit of Moses. So don't conclude that because Enoch was taken, he didn't see death. Elijah was also taken, he didn't see death. So the two of them must come and die. Then in the first place, how do they even go to heaven? If you must die and go there, in the first place, why didn't they die and go? But they have gone there and then they have to come back and die again and go back. You see that that conclusion doesn't have basis. So first they should have died before going there, but they have gone there without dying. And you are saying that because they have gone there without dying, they have to come back and die and die again. It's just like let me say you want to travel. Let's say you are in a, let's say you are a Ghanaian, just like me. You are a Ghanaian. You want to go to America, and I don't have ticket. I don't even have visa. I don't have passport. But after going there, you are now asking me I have to come back. for years. I have now gone there for years. And you say, since I have gone there, I have to come back and now get a ticket and a passport before I go there. Then in the first place, I shouldn't have gone there, but I've already gone there. You see the issue. So death is not just like a ticket whereby everybody must get it before. No. So these two people did not die, and don't expect them to come back. So first person we said Enoch, second person we said Elijah, third person, the third people will be the end time believers. End time, those who be alive when Christ will come back. The time that Christ will come back, and those believers who be alive, they too will not die. So they are the third people. Let us read here. First Corinthians chapter number 15, verses 50, 51, and then 52. It reads this way. First Corinthians chapter number 15, verses 51 and 52. I read, listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all asleep, have you seen? But we will all be changed. Good. In a flash, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. Have you seen? That is the return of Christ when he will be at the air, and then that is the rapture. So what will happen? So you think at the rapture, when Christ comes at the rapture, those that are alive, they have to die before the rapture and go there. What will happen? The bodies will be changed. That's why I say what all of us will not be asleep. When they talk asleep here, it is not the normal sleeping like that. It means we will not all die. That is why we said a believer, not just a believer, a human being at all. You don't die, you sleep, because you come back. You come back to life one day. That body goes to sleep. That body will come back. So you either come back and get a, let's say, and be with Christ, or you come back and go to the lake of fire. But everybody will come back. You go to sleep. So Paul said it's not all of us who will be asleep. So don't think that to go to heaven you must die first. So if it's that, Paul would have told us that, oh, at the when Christ appear, everybody will die, the whole world will all die, all believers will die and then resurrect. Yeah, it should have been like that. It should have been like that, because if Christ appear on air, because he is coming to take the believers. So immediately he appear in the air, then every believer will die before he resurrect. But is it what the Bible is saying? No. So don't think that everybody must die, and you think that Enoch and then Elijah must come back and die because they didn't die before going there. In the first place, why should they even go there? How did they even go there without dying? They should have died first before go. So you see that here eh, they will not die. So these are the three people who will never die. So if you are alive right now, as we are, if Christ comes back within our in our time like this, you will not die. I will not also die. If you are part of the church, you will not die. Your body, your body will change. It will transform to be. You get glorified body. It will be a glorified body. The body that don't die. It doesn't know sin. It doesn't know tiredness. It doesn't know temptation. It doesn't know anything about the world. The thing is that, what did the Bible say? It will be like angels who have those bodies. You see the way Christ, when he's resurrected from the grave, you see the kind of body that he was having. It's the same kind of body. It doesn't know earthly restriction. Oh, I want to enter this room. Where's the key? You enter there without passing through the door. Good. Thank you for your time. May the Lord bless you. If you have any question, put it at the comment section. If you have any comment, put it there. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. You can like it, share, and then share it to your colleagues, and then also subscribe, because here we share Bible facts and end time events. So don't take it like that, as that I must die before I go to heaven. That one is not biblical. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.